In the firearms industry, not every brand can withstand the test of time. While many names have earned the trust of consumers for decades, some once popular gun brands suddenly vanish, leaving behind stories filled with regret and disappointment. Did you know that some firearm companies you once trusted have now shut down, leaving their owners to face unexpected issues from being unable to repair their guns to a lack of replacement parts? Let's explore the reasons behind the downfall of 15 well-known firearm manufacturers and how poor decisions led them to lose their place in the market. One, Raven Arms. Raven Arms is one of the most notorious brands in the American firearms industry, not because of its innovation or quality, but due to the dangerous and subpar firearms it produced. Founded by George Jennings in 1970, Raven Arms specialized in making low-cost handguns, primarily made from Zamac alloy, a low-quality metal, which still remains one of the main reasons why its guns are considered unreliable and highly dangerous. In particular, their notable models, such as the P25 and MP25, were prone to issues like cracks, trigger mechanism failures, and even the risk of accidental discharges. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Raven Arms produced millions of cheap guns, mainly targeting the low-budget concealed carry market for those seeking affordable self-defense options. These guns were primarily sold through discount stores, pawn shops, and outlets that didn't require strict quality control. Although affordable, this came at the cost of frequent and severe quality issues. While other brands like Colt and Smith & Wesson built reputations for high quality and durable products, Raven Arms thrived on low prices, churning out mass-produced small handguns with little attention to quality. The P25 series, one of their most famous models, led many users to spend money repairing or replacing parts, or worse, facing guns that couldn't be fixed. Problems like accidental discharges, faulty feeding mechanisms, and unreliable firing mechanisms made Raven Arms synonymous with poor quality in the firearms industry. These guns didn't just suffer from mechanical failures, they also posed a serious safety risk. Accidental discharges when the gun was dropped, or even from slight pressure when held, became common. This turned Raven Arms into a textbook example of cheap, unreliable firearms, with users bearing the brunt of the consequences. The market for Raven Arms was primarily made up of people in need of self-defense weapons, but unable to afford more reputable brands. However, the existence of guns like the P25 only increased the risk of accidents, putting their owners in harm's way. In 1991, Raven Arms faced a major disaster when a large fire destroyed their California factory. Instead of rebuilding and continuing production, George Jennings chose to exit the market and transferred Raven Arms designs to Phoenix Arms, a company also known for low-quality firearms. And just like that, Raven Arms officially disappeared from the firearm industry, leaving behind a stain that can never be erased from the history of cheap firearm manufacturing. After the company dissolved, Raven Arms guns became collector's items that few wanted to own. These guns could no longer be repaired, parts were unavailable, and they became cautionary tales for anyone considering cheap firearms without carefully evaluating the quality. Purchasing a Raven Arms gun wasn't just buying something irreparable, it was accepting a potential safety hazard. As a result, Raven Arms is now remembered not for product quality or brand success, but for its failures and the negative reputation it left in the cheap gun manufacturing industry. Their products became a symbol of why it's never wise to go for cheap when it comes to self-defense weapons. And perhaps, if someone still owns a Raven Arms gun, they'll soon realize that they're holding on to something not only useless, but also potentially dangerous. Thus, Raven Arms, despite briefly having a market share in the cheap firearm industry, ended its existence in disaster, leaving behind a major warning for those who might consider opting for cheap firearms without a thorough examination of quality. 2. Jimenez Arms. Jimenez Arms. The next name on this list is known not only for its failure in the firearms industry, but also for the serious mistakes the company made. Founded by Paul Jimenez in 1990, Jimenez Arms became known as the successor to the errors left behind by companies like Jennings and Raven in the firearms industry's history. Jimenez primarily produced small handguns, using cheap Zamak alloys for the main components of the guns, which immediately caused serious issues with durability and safety. One of Jimenez Arms' most notable models was the JA-22 and JA-9. While marketed as affordable self-defense options for people on a budget, these guns had significant technical issues, from problems with the locking mechanism, unstable trigger systems, to accidental discharges. Jimenez Arms became a name to fear in the firearms community, especially for those who couldn't afford more reputable brands like Glock or Sig Sauer. Jimenez Arms faced many lawsuits throughout its years of operation. Owners of the company's firearms repeatedly reported safety issues, including guns firing unexpectedly and parts breaking after only a few shots. These issues made Jimenez Arms a troubling name in the firearms industry, and a painful lesson for those seeking cheap guns without considering product safety and quality. Though some loyal customers bought Jimenez products due to their affordability, the lack of replacement parts, limited technical support, and poor durability made it impossible for the brand to grow in the industry. Over time, Jimenez Arms guns became objects that couldn't be used, repaired, or had their parts replaced. By the end of the 2010s, the company no longer existed as an independent brand after Paul Jimenez was forced to close the business due to serious financial troubles. In 2020, Jimenez Arms officially declared bankruptcy and ceased production, marking the end of a long series of financial, legal, and quality issues the company had faced throughout its existence. While the brand had a brief moment of popularity among certain consumers, once the company closed, Jimenez products quickly disappeared from the market. The guns were now just used items, difficult to sell, and no one wanted to use them due to the serious safety issues. Even after the company went bankrupt, the reputation of Jimenez Arms continued to haunt those who had purchased their guns. These firearms were no longer under warranty, lacked replacement parts, and no longer had company support. This meant that anyone who had purchased a Jimenez Arms gun was stuck with an item that couldn't be repaired, couldn't be used for the long term, and wasn't reliable. Jimenez Arms will forever be remembered as a symbol of failure in the cheap firearm industry. Although it might have attracted some consumers due to its low prices, the safety, quality, and after-sales service issues led to the company's swift downfall. And if you own a Jimenez Arms gun, it's probably time to reconsider, as you'll soon realize you're holding on to something that not only lacks functionality, but also poses potential risks to your safety. Jimenez Arms is a clear example of how cheap isn't always good in the firearms industry. Those who sought cheap guns from this brand likely paid a heavy price for their decision. 3. Davis Industries. Davis Industries is a name that, when mentioned, many in the firearms community immediately associate with cheap, low quality, and risky products. Founded in 1982 by John Davis, the company specialized in producing small handguns aimed at people who wanted a self-defense weapon but couldn't afford more established brands like Colt or Smith & Wesson. Davis Industries products were primarily made from cheap materials, particularly thin aluminum and steel alloys, which made them prone to damage and low durability over time. The notable models of Davis Industries, such as the P32 and P380, were designed to be compact, easy to carry, and simple to use. However, these guns suffered from numerous serious functional and durability issues, from problems with the locking mechanism, trigger malfunctions, to safety mechanism failures. These guns often malfunctioned right from the first use. In particular, Davis Industries firearms frequently face severe issues under normal conditions, such as misfiring or failure to shoot after only a few uses. The poor quality and lack of replacement parts quickly earned Davis Industries a reputation as one of the most feared names in the firearm industry. They couldn't compete with the major brands in terms of quality, and they also lagged behind in product innovation. Despite their low price, Davis handguns lacked essential safety features, making their owners face potential risks every time they used them. The lack of quality and serious durability issues led to a significant loss of consumer trust in the brand. This became even clearer when Davis Industries faced a series of lawsuits related to safety issues. Customers constantly complained about guns jamming, failing to operate normally, or even firing when there was no clear reason. This turned the company into a target for legal investigations, which dragged on for years. By the late 1990s, as competition from larger brands like Glock, Beretta, and Sig Sauer grew, Davis Industries couldn't maintain operations. Though they had once been a popular manufacturer of small, affordable guns, Davis Industries couldn't compete with the technological advances and quality improvements offered by other companies. The company's downfall came quickly in 1999 when they declared bankruptcy after a series of lawsuits and financial losses. This left their guns as items that couldn't be resold, repaired, or used effectively. Davis Industries was not just a brand that had outlived its time, but also a textbook example of how choosing cheap over quality can backfire in the firearm industry. Today, most of Davis's guns are no longer produced or supported, and they've become unwanted items that no one wants to own. Buying a gun from Davis Industries wasn't just a poor choice in terms of quality, but also a decision that could put the buyer in a dangerous situation. What's even more concerning is that, although Davis Industries ceased operations a long time ago, the legacy it left still affects those who own their products. These guns can't be repaired, parts can't be replaced, and there's no support from the manufacturer. This means that those who bought Davis products in the 1990s are left with a gun they can't trust, use long-term, or repair. Davis Industries is a clear example of how cheap doesn't always equal best in the firearm industry. Those who sought cheap guns from this brand likely paid a high price for their decision. 4. Jennings Firearms. Jennings Firearms, a name that has become a symbol of failure in the firearms industry, is infamous not for a lack of products, but for the poor quality firearms it produced. Founded in the early 1970s by George Jennings, Jennings Firearms quickly became one of the leading manufacturers of cheap handguns, and one of the brands that caused some of the most negative consequences in the American firearm industry. This brand became famous for making small, easy-to-use handguns at incredibly low prices, but they were riddled with serious quality and safety issues. One of the most notable models from Jennings was the J22, a compact .22 LR handgun. Though marketed as an affordable self-defense option, Jennings guns faced countless issues. These firearms tended to crack, malfunction, and especially, they were unreliable in real-world use. In fact, the most common problem with these guns was issues with the locking mechanism, which prevented the gun from firing. This wasn't just an issue with a few units, it was a common problem across the entire line of Jennings products. Despite being sold at a very low price, Jennings guns couldn't compare in safety or durability to those from larger, more reputable brands. Those who use Jennings guns frequently face dangerous situations, especially in self-defense situations, where the gun either failed to fire or misfired at a crucial moment. This turned Jennings into a brand associated with poor reliability, and their products quickly became synonymous with low-quality firearms. With the lack of safety features, Jennings Firearms were prone to problems like accidental discharges or firing at the wrong time. These issues not only posed a danger to users, but also sparked a wave of protests within the gun community. Moreover, the lack of technical support and replacement parts made owning a Jennings firearm even more problematic. These guns couldn't be properly repaired, and owners couldn't expect any help from the manufacturer. By the late 1980s, after numerous lawsuits and serious legal troubles over product failures, Jennings Firearms faced major challenges. Lawsuits over accidental discharges and safety problems made it impossible for the brand to continue operating sustainably. By 1990, after a large fire destroyed the company's factory in California, Jennings Firearms decided to halt production and exit the market. However, before the company closed down, it had produced a large number of guns that no one wanted to use in the future, forcing consumers and gun stores to deal with a stockpile of unsellable products. After closing, Jennings guns became items that could neither be resold nor repaired, losing all value. These guns became not only symbols of cheap manufacturing, but also warnings to anyone considering low-cost self-defense options without thinking about quality. Jennings Firearms left behind a bad legacy, causing many consumers to pay the price for their choice. These guns weren't just dangerous, they created a dark spot in the history of the firearms industry that has yet to be erased. Jennings Firearms is a prime example of how cheap isn't always the best option. Those who chose Jennings guns definitely paid a high price for their decision. With the lack of replacement parts, frequent malfunctions, and safety concerns, Jennings Firearms became unreliable objects that couldn't be used long-term or repaired. And if you own a Jennings firearm today, it may be time to reconsider, as what you're holding could be not only a useless item, but also a potential safety hazard. 5. Lorcin Engineering. Lorcin Engineering is a brand that was once associated with the cheap firearm industry in the United States, but was quickly forgotten due to serious mistakes in quality and poor management. Founded in 1989, Lorcin Engineering specialized in producing low-cost handguns, aimed at those in need of a self-defense weapon, but unwilling to spend much on a high-quality gun. Products from Lorcin Engineering, such as the L22, L25, and L380 models, were designed to offer consumers a cheap firearm, but these guns quickly became dangerous due to their poor craftsmanship. Lorcin Engineering's guns, while compact and easy to use, suffered from countless issues right from the first use. Made from cheap materials that lacked durability, these firearms often experienced malfunctions like broken locking mechanisms, faulty triggers, and other severe mechanical issues. When used in real-world conditions, Lorcin guns frequently failed to function properly, leading to major frustration for their owners. One of the biggest weaknesses of Lorcin Engineering was the poor quality of their products. These guns often couldn't fire reliably, would break down quickly, and even face serious safety concerns. Many users complained that their Lorcin firearms couldn't fire when needed, and some even posed a significant threat to their owner's safety. This is why the brand quickly lost in consumer trust, especially when low-cost firearms from other brands like Raven Arms and Jimenez Arms face similar problems. Lorcin Engineering didn't just struggle with competition from larger brands, they also had to deal with the consequences of producing low-quality guns. These firearms were returned by gun stores, rejected by consumers, and ultimately led to the company being involved in several lawsuits related to product quality. After facing a growing number of legal issues and being unable to fix its product problems, Lorcin Engineering was eventually boycotted from the market. Their guns were no longer sold, didn't receive technical support, and became unusable items. While Lorcin Engineering was once successful in providing affordable firearms to the U.S. market, it couldn't sustain operations for long. In 1998, the company declared bankruptcy after facing lawsuits over product quality and serious financial issues. Their products, especially the L22, L25, and L380 models, became firearms that were unreliable, irreparable, and worthless, leaving consumers with no choice but to dispose of them or store them as useless items. It's important to note that even after Lorcin Engineering closed down, their firearms still lingered in second-hand shops and gun auctions. However, owning a Lorcin firearm now is no different than owning a product that cannot be used, repaired, or restored. The products from Lorcin Engineering remain a reminder that choosing a cheap firearm without considering quality can lead to serious safety consequences. In the context of today's firearms market, where innovation and quality are prioritized, products like those from Lorcin Engineering will always serve as a lesson to those who seek out cheap guns without considering essential factors like durability and safety. Lorcin Engineering ended its career in tragedy, but left behind a negative legacy in the firearms industry, warning consumers to never prioritize price over quality when choosing a self-defense weapon. For those who own a gun from Lorcin Engineering, it may be time to reevaluate its true value. These firearms are not only difficult to repair, but could also pose dangerous situations that you can't predict. 6. Phoenix Arms. Phoenix Arms, one of the final brands from the Saturday Night Special line, has become a symbol of failure in the American firearms industry. Founded in 1977, Phoenix Arms specialized in manufacturing cheap handguns, primarily catering to those looking for basic self-defense guns on a budget. However, despite their low prices, Phoenix Arms firearms were plagued with numerous serious quality and safety issues, which led the brand to become one of the worst in the industry. The standout models from Phoenix Arms were the HP-22 and HP-25, small handguns chambered in .22 LR and .25 ACP. Known for their compact design and extremely affordable price, these guns quickly dominated the low-cost firearm market. However, the quality of these products quickly disappointed many. Phoenix Arms guns were made from Zamac alloy, a material that is not durable and is prone to corrosion over time. This caused the firearms to suffer frequent mechanical failures, such as problems with the locking mechanism or malfunctions in the firing mechanism. Many users reported constant issues with their guns, rendering them unreliable in real-world situations. Another significant issue Phoenix Arms faced was the lack of proper safety features in their products. These guns lacked effective safety mechanisms, making it easy for users to experience accidental discharges. These problems weren't rare, and there were numerous instances where owners faced serious risks while using Phoenix Arms firearms. While the price was low, owning a Phoenix Arms gun meant accepting a higher risk to safety, something unacceptable when it comes to self-defense weapons. With these serious quality and safety concerns, Phoenix Arms struggled to maintain its position in the American gun market for long. In 2025, the company officially announced the cessation of production and closed its doors. This decision didn't come as a surprise, as Phoenix Arms had failed to address its quality issues after years of producing cheap guns that couldn't compete with products from larger brands like Ruger, Smith & Wesson, or Glock. Furthermore, with no technical support and replacement parts available, Phoenix Arms firearms quickly became useless. Although Phoenix Arms officially ceased production, their products continued to appear in secondhand stores and gun auctions. However, owning a Phoenix Arms gun now is akin to owning an item that poses a risk, is irreparable, and cannot be used long-term. These guns not only have no functional value, but can also be dangerous if they malfunction during use. Phoenix Arms is not just an example of the failure of a cheap gun brand, but also a cautionary tale for anyone seeking an affordable self-defense weapon without considering the importance of quality. These firearms have caused countless problems for their owners and cannot be repaired or replaced. This makes Phoenix Arms a brand that gun owners looking for budget-friendly options should avoid to prevent facing unfortunate consequences down the line. If you own a Phoenix Arms gun, it may be time to reconsider your decision. These guns not only cannot be repaired, but could also pose a serious danger to you in situations that require reliability. Phoenix Arms has gone down in history as a symbol of failure in providing quality and safe firearms. 7. Para USA. Para USA was once a well-known name among 1911 enthusiasts, standing out for its dual-stack magazines and notable tactical upgrades. Founded in 1985, Para USA quickly took the market by storm with its innovative approach to improving the legendary 1911 platform, adding features like higher magazine capacity and greater customization options. With products like the Para Ordnance P1445, this brand was a popular choice for those looking for a powerful handgun with a modern design and the flexibility to customize. Para USA became one of the most trusted brands for those who loved the 1911, but wanted something with additional features. Despite its popularity among 1911 fans, Para USA was not immune to major issues over time. In the following years, the company struggled to keep up with fierce competition from other large brands like Colt, Springfield Armory, and Kimber, all of which produced high-quality firearms while innovating at a faster pace to meet market demands. This made it increasingly difficult for Para USA to maintain its leading position, and it started to fall behind in technology and product quality. However, Para continued to provide special 1911 models for enthusiasts, but the quality of these models was no longer on par with the competitors. In 2012, Para USA was bought by Remington Outdoor Company, a part of the Freedom Group. This acquisition was expected to revive Para USA and keep it going in the firearms industry. However, this merger couldn't save the brand's fate. Para's products didn't see significant improvements, and they lost their unique identity in the market. The 1911 pistols from Para became collector's items, no longer supported and with no real improvements in quality or features. The acquisition by Remington turned Para into a name that lived only on paper, unable to maintain product quality or evolve. When Para USA shut down in 2015, the brand officially became a part of the history of the American firearms industry, not for its success or innovations, but for its painful failure. The lack of innovation, poor management, and insurmountable quality issues led to Para USA's inability to compete with larger industry players. Despite being produced for many years, Para USA's pistols became items that few wanted to own, with most people viewing them as collector's pieces rather than practical self-defense tools. Those who had owned Para guns found themselves with obsolete, unreliable items that lacked support or the ability to repair them. One of the biggest issues Para USA gun owners faced was the inability to find replacement parts or receive technical support from the manufacturer. The lack of replacement parts, combined with the company's closure, made these guns essentially useless. Furthermore, as competitors like Colt, Kimber, and Springfield Armory continued to produce high-quality 1911 pistols with new features, Para USA's guns became less relevant in a competitive market. Para USA, with all its initial achievements, became an example of how quickly a brand can fade away if it fails to maintain innovation and sound management. Despite having a loyal following, the quality issues and lack of updates made Para USA's firearms unreliable, unusable for long-term use, and impossible to repair. If you own a Para gun, it's likely time to reconsider, as what you're holding is a relic of the past, lacking both functionality and reliability. 8. Taurus, a prominent name in the firearms industry, has caused its fair share of controversy over the years. Founded in 1941 in Brazil, Taurus quickly became one of South America's leading firearm manufacturers and expanded into global markets, particularly in the United States. Taurus handguns gained popularity due to their affordability, accessible designs, and relatively good durability compared to competitors. However, despite being widely known and loved by consumers on a budget, Taurus has repeatedly faced serious quality and safety issues, damaging the brand's reputation over time. With models like the Taurus 856 and Taurus Judge, the company quickly dominated the revolver and small handgun markets, especially in the affordable price range. The Taurus Judge, a model designed to shoot both .410 bore and .45 Colt ammunition, became one of the brand's standout products, known for its versatility in ammunition use. However, despite these innovations, Taurus faced numerous quality problems, from mechanical failures to serious safety issues. One of the main reasons Taurus struggled was the instability in their manufacturing process. While the company had a large production facility in Brazil, inconsistencies in their production processes led to some Taurus firearms having unreliable quality. User reports and gun store feedback revealed that many Taurus guns experienced issues like malfunctioning triggers, inaccurate barrel locks, and even serious safety issues such as firing unexpectedly. This significantly reduced the brand's reliability, causing a portion of their customer base to turn away. In addition to these mechanical issues, another serious problem Taurus faced was the lack of technical support and replacement parts. Taurus guns were not always easy to find parts for, especially when older models were discontinued or when post-sale support became limited. This left owners struggling to maintain or repair their guns, leading to major frustration. While brands like Glock, Sig Sauer, and Smith & Wesson provided better customer service, Taurus was unable to meet customer expectations for post-purchase support. In recent years, Taurus has faced a major blow to its production output. Reports show that from 2022 to 2023, Taurus's production output dropped by as much as 54%, a significant decline that few brands in the firearms industry could survive. Recalls, particularly for models like the Taurus GX4, put additional pressure on the company from both customers and distribution partners. These continuous issues damaged the brand's reputation, causing consumers and retailers to question Taurus's commitment to quality. Although Taurus has tried to maintain its presence in the market by continuing to produce low-cost firearms, the quality issues remain a major barrier to its sustainable growth. Taurus firearms, while affordable, cannot be relied on in all situations. Owning a Taurus gun may lead to safety risks, as well as difficulties finding replacement parts or technical support. This makes the brand an uncertain choice for anyone seeking a long-term, reliable self-defense weapon. Taurus is still in operation, but it's difficult to say how long the brand can last without addressing these fundamental issues of quality and customer support. While they still have a loyal customer base, particularly in the budget firearm market, The decline in production and safety issues have left Taurus struggling to maintain public trust. With a significant drop in production and unresolved quality issues, Taurus faces an uncertain future unless they can improve product quality and post-sale service. If you own a Taurus firearm, it may be time to reevaluate your choice. While they are affordable, the issues surrounding quality and safety might lead to regret down the line. Buying a firearm is not just about choosing a tool, it's about choosing reliability, and Taurus, despite its low price, is currently facing significant challenges to maintaining consumer trust in the competitive firearms industry. 9. Kahr Arms. Kahr Arms is one of the oldest names in the American firearms industry, known for its compact, durable revolvers. However, this brand is now facing an inevitable decline. Founded in 1964, Kahr Arms quickly gained a foothold in the revolver market, with products designed for self-defense and law enforcement needs. The simplicity and durability of Kahr Arms products attracted a large consumer base over the years. Particularly models like the Bulldog, Undercover, and Pitbull became popular choices among those who favored small, easily concealable revolvers. However, despite its long-standing presence, Kahr Arms is now struggling with serious quality issues and changes in the market. One of Kahr Arms' strengths was its reputation for producing compact, easy-to-use revolvers with a reliable design. Models like the Bulldog, designed to fire .44 special ammunition, became a symbol in the small revolver category due to their powerful performance. However, the biggest problem with Kahr Arms is its lack of innovation and failure to upgrade its product line. Although the company produced many different models over the years, their products failed to undergo any significant improvements. This failure to innovate allowed competitors like Smith & Wesson and Ruger to surpass Kahr Arms, as they consistently developed and offered products with superior features. This lack of innovation led to a sharp decline in Kahr Arms' sales. Their once popular revolvers were no longer in high demand, and gun stores that once prominently displayed Kahr Arms products now rarely stocked them. Retailers began cutting back on their inventory of Kahr products, while the emergence of modern, high-quality guns from other brands caused Kahr Arms to fade into obscurity. As a result, their firearms became less visible and lost their competitive edge in the revolver market. In addition to the lack of innovation, Kahr Arms also faced serious issues with the quality of its products. In recent years, reports from users revealed that Kahr Arms guns had issues such as misfitting parts, inaccurate firing mechanisms, and malfunctions in the mechanical components. These issues severely impacted the reliability of their guns, causing consumers to lose confidence in the brand, especially for self-defense situations where reliability is crucial. This problem worsened as their products began to face shortages of replacement parts and technical support. Guns that malfunctioned could not be easily repaired, and owners could not expect timely help from the manufacturer. With its failure to innovate and declining product quality, Kahr Arms has struggled to maintain its position in the firearms industry. Gun enthusiasts have increasingly turned to other brands, which not only provide high-quality products, but also consistently improve and innovate to meet the demands of the market. Meanwhile, Kahr Arms continue to offer outdated models with no significant upgrades in terms of features or design. While some of Kahr Arms' products still have a niche market, the shift in consumer needs and preferences has made it increasingly difficult for the brand to stay competitive in the long run. With all of these issues, Kahr Arms is now in a state of serious decline. Their products are no longer the first choice for consumers, especially when brands like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, and Kimber offer revolvers with better quality and features. Kahr Arms still exists, but it's unclear how much longer the brand can survive without a significant change in its product strategy and quality improvements. If you own a Kahr Arms gun, you should proceed with caution and carefully consider potential issues with quality and replacement parts in the future. In conclusion, Kahr Arms is a prime example of how failing to innovate and improve consistently can result in losing competitiveness in the firearms industry. Although the brand had a golden age, today their firearms are outdated, no longer popular, and not widely used as they once were. 10. SECY Firearms. SECY Firearms is a brand that once held a prominent position in the American handgun industry, but quickly fell into bankruptcy, leaving behind a poor legacy in the history of firearms manufacturing. Founded in the 1990s, SECY quickly rose to fame as one of the leading producers of low-cost handguns, particularly with models like the CPX-1 and DVG-1. These handguns offered an affordable entry point into the firearms market, with features like engraved markings on the frame and simple mechanical structures. SECY was considered an ideal choice for beginners and budget-conscious buyers, providing a low-cost option that still met basic self-defense needs. However, SECY Firearms soon began to face serious quality issues. Despite the attractive price point of their products, the use of cheap materials and lack of strict quality control during manufacturing led to a series of severe problems. SECY Firearms, especially the CPX-1 and DVG-1 models, frequently experienced issues like failure to properly lock the slide, malfunctioning triggers, and even accidental discharges when there was no clear reason. These problems quickly raised concerns among gun owners and tarnished CCI's reputation, especially for those who were looking for a reliable, budget-friendly self-defense weapon. SECY didn't just struggle with quality issues, they also faced a severe lack of after-sales service and replacement parts. While the company tried to stay afloat by offering low-cost firearms, when these guns began to malfunction and owners couldn't repair them, they found it impossible to obtain replacement parts. This left many owners with firearms they couldn't use or fix, leading to widespread dissatisfaction. The lack of customer support, combined with poor product quality, made SECY one of the least popular brands in the American handgun market. By 2025, SECY Firearms had declared bankruptcy. The main reason behind their collapse was the mounting financial issues, with debts totaling more than $249,000 USD, compounded by the company's inability to maintain sustainable production and improve the quality of their firearms. Lawsuits related to accidental discharges and other safety issues further damaged SECY's reputation, leading to a complete loss of trust. The company's decision to shut down in 2025 marked the abrupt end to a brief and disappointing chapter in SECY's history, leaving thousands of unusable firearms in its wake. SECY Firearms' bankruptcy and closure didn't come as a shock to those who followed the firearms industry. While other brands like Glock, Sig Sauer, and Smith & Wesson continued to produce high-quality firearms with excellent customer service, SECY could not compete in either product quality or customer support. SECY Firearms quickly became worthless items that couldn't be resold, repaired, or used for the long term. The flaws in their design and manufacturing made SECY a prime example of a cheap firearms brand that ignored the importance of quality and innovation. The collapse of SECY Firearms serves as a warning to those seeking low-cost self-defense firearms without considering quality. SECY's guns didn't just suffer from serious malfunctions, they also lacked the necessary after-sales support. If you own a SECY firearm, it's likely time to reconsider, as these guns are not only unreliable, but also hard to repair or replace parts for when needed. SECY Firearms, with all the mistakes made in its production and management, will forever serve as a lesson on how a brand can fail to compete in the firearms industry if it doesn't focus on quality and innovation. While the company attempted to grow and expand its market, it ultimately couldn't keep up with the increasing consumer demand for better quality and service. This led to the brand's complete disappearance from the industry. 11. Watchtower Firearms. Watchtower Firearms was a brand launched with high expectations, but it ended up being a major disappointment in the firearms industry. Established in 2022, Watchtower Firearms entered the market with a strong strategy, promising advanced firearms with modern designs, superior performance, and cutting-edge technology. They introduced several promising products, including pistols like the Apache and rifles like the Bridger. These guns were marketed as future-forward, utilizing advanced features and materials that the company believed would revolutionize the U.S. firearms market. However, within just 3 short years, Watchtower was forced to declare bankruptcy and completely collapse, becoming one of the most unfortunate brands in the industry. Although Watchtower began with great potential, they encountered numerous problems right from the start. Despite their impressive designs, their products lacked the necessary consistency in quality and performance. Watchtower's firearms not only struggled with smooth operation, but also had serious mechanical issues, rendering them unreliable. In some cases, guns would jam or fail to lock the slide, putting users in dangerous situations. These failures quickly caused a loss of trust among consumers who had high hopes for a new brand offering something different. In addition to quality issues, Watchtower Firearms also faced significant challenges in maintaining production and delivery schedules. Orders from the company were frequently delayed, and many customers didn't receive their firearms on time. This led to great disappointment among buyers, especially from a brand that had just entered the market. On top of that, Watchtower failed to provide enough replacement parts for their products, leaving owners with firearms they couldn't repair. Distributors reported that Watchtower was struggling to meet market demand and maintain an efficient supply chain. By the end of 2024, Watchtower Firearms filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and declared its complete collapse in 2025. The brand's failure was primarily due to large debts, totaling more than $249,000 USD, alongside its inability to produce quality firearms consistently and improve product quality. Lawsuits related to malfunctions and safety issues further eroded the company's credibility, leading to a full loss of trust. The closure of Watchtower marked the end of a brand that had potential but was unable to overcome serious internal challenges. The collapse left thousands of unusable guns, unable to be repaired or replaced for their customers. The bankruptcy of Watchtower Firearms was not a surprise to those following the firearms industry. While other brands like Glock, Sig Sauer, and Smith & Wesson continued to deliver high-quality firearms with exceptional customer service, Watchtower couldn't compete on either front. Their firearms quickly became unsellable items, with no ability for repairs or maintenance. The lack of design and manufacturing control made Watchtower a textbook example of a cheap firearm brand that failed to understand the importance of quality and innovation. The collapse of Watchtower Firearms is a clear warning to those looking for affordable self-defense firearms from new brands. Innovation and potential alone are not enough for long-term success in a competitive industry. Despite having great ideas, Watchtower's failure to deliver on quality and customer support led to their rapid demise. This also shows that even brands with creative ideas and great potential can quickly collapse in the highly competitive firearms industry without a solid foundation. Currently, with the bankruptcy of Watchtower, owners of their firearms face the problem of no longer receiving technical support, replacement parts, or repair services. These guns, while once touted for their modern design and features, have now become unusable or irreparable. This serves as a cautionary tale for anyone looking to purchase from newer brands. While innovation is exciting, it is not enough to guarantee long-term success in a market that demands stability and reliability. Watchtower Firearms, despite its promising start, ultimately became one of the shortest-lived brands in the firearms industry, unable to maintain sustainable development. Issues with product quality and lack of after-sales service quickly destroyed the brand's reputation and consumer trust. 12. Kahr Arms. Kahr Arms, founded in 1994 by Justin Moon, is a well-known name in the handgun market, particularly in the self-defense pistol segment. Coming from a family with a history in firearms production, Kahr quickly became a popular brand for those seeking compact, easy-to-carry handguns that offered high accuracy. Models like the K9, CW9, and P9 were especially popular among consumers looking for a reliable self-defense handgun with their sleek designs and stable performance. Kahr's guns quickly became trusted for their high accuracy, smooth operation, and ease of use. However, in recent years, Kahr Arms has faced several issues that have caused the brand to lose some of its competitiveness in the market. While Kahr still holds a solid position in the self-defense pistol market, it has struggled to keep up with innovations and upgrades offered by larger competitors in the industry. Brands like Glock, Sig Sauer, and Smith & Wesson have continually advanced their products with new features, such as improved sight systems, better compatibility with modern accessories, and easier-to-find replacement parts. In contrast, Kahr Arms has failed to maintain the same level of innovation, which has contributed to the brand's struggle to remain at the forefront of the market. One of the reasons Kahr Arms has struggled is due to its failure to modernize its firearm offerings. While Kahr pistols are known for being compact and accurate, they lack the modern features that today's consumers expect. For example, Kahr handguns often do not come with adjustable sights, compatibility with modern accessories, or customizable grips. This lack of modern features has made Kahr's products less appealing to a new generation of consumers who are looking for handguns with more advanced capabilities. Additionally, the quality of Kahr products has become inconsistent. While Kahr guns are generally praised for their accuracy, some users have reported durability issues. Some models have experienced problems with the locking mechanism, accuracy after several uses, and parts not fitting as expected. These issues have led to a decline in consumer trust, as many are beginning to look elsewhere for self-defense pistols that offer better long-term reliability. Despite these challenges, Kahr Arms still maintains a loyal customer base due to the consistent quality of older models like the K9 and CW9. However, the brand is finding it increasingly difficult to compete with bigger brands that continue to innovate and offer products with modern features and higher durability. Kahr's handguns, while still solid, are no longer the go-to choice for those looking for cutting-edge, reliable self-defense weapons. Perhaps the biggest concern for Kahr Arms is the lack of post-sale support. While Kahr has tried to maintain some support, customers often report delays in receiving repair services and difficulties finding replacement parts. This has created frustration among consumers as they cannot rely on timely repairs when issues arise. Kahr Arms is still in business, but if the company does not address the quality of its products and improve its customer support, it may face an uncertain future. While Kahr still holds a share of the self-defense handgun market, its products are no longer as appealing to consumers who are demanding more innovative, durable, and high-quality firearms. If Kahr does not make significant improvements to its products and services, it may find itself losing ground to more innovative competitors in the industry. If you own a Kahr Arms handgun, it might be time to reconsider your choice. These handguns, once known for their accuracy and reliability, may no longer meet the needs of modern self-defense and may not offer the long-term durability and safety you expect from a firearm. 13. Colt. A legendary name in the American firearms industry, is a brand that everyone recognizes when talking about excellence and tradition in gun manufacturing. Founded in 1836 by Samuel Colt, the brand became not only a symbol of the American firearms industry, but also of global gun culture. Colt became famous for its revolutionary designs, from handguns to rifles, particularly the 1911 series, the iconic pistol that remains highly popular today. Colt's firearms have proven their quality, durability, and performance over many generations, making them a top choice for military, law enforcement, and civilian users. However, in recent years, Colt has faced significant challenges and difficulties in maintaining its reputation and growth. Although it is one of the most well-known names in the firearms industry, Colt has struggled to retain its leadership position in the face of an increasingly competitive market. In 2015, Colt filed for bankruptcy for the first time, due to financial difficulties and a lack of innovation in its product line. Later, in 2021, Colt encountered further financial problems and was acquired by Česká zbrojovka Group, CZG, a renowned firearm company from the Czech Republic. While this acquisition brought hope for a revival of the brand, it's undeniable that Colt has lost some of its original essence during this process. One of the biggest reasons for Colt's decline was its heavy reliance on military and government contracts. For many years, Colt built its success by producing firearms for the U.S. military and law enforcement, particularly during World War I and World War II, along with supplying firearms to domestic police forces. However, changes in military needs and weapons procurement policies caused Colt to lose the stability it once enjoyed. While the 1911 series remained popular among civilian gun enthusiasts, Colt struggled to meet the diverse needs of consumers, particularly as competitors like Glock, Sig Sauer, and Smith & Wesson continued to produce modern, easy-to-use pistols with higher safety standards. In addition, the quality of Colt's products in recent years has raised concerns. Some consumers and industry experts have pointed out that, Especially during the financial difficulties of the company, Colt's products no longer maintain the same level of finish and durability as before. Colt's firearms sometimes experienced issues with their firing mechanisms, malfunctioning parts, or unstable slide locks, which raised concerns for loyal users. These problems, combined with a lack of innovation, caused consumers to seek alternatives that offered superior quality and features. Although Colt continues to exist under the ownership of CZG, it's clear that the brand has changed significantly from its once strong, legendary image. While new Colt products still carry some of the traditional traits and iconic qualities of the brand, they cannot match the innovation and creativity seen from larger competitors in the industry. Colt is no longer the leader in developing new technologies. Instead, it is now a heritage brand, holding on to its historical legacy without much forward momentum in terms of product development. Colt has faced many challenges in maintaining its position in the firearms industry, and despite its revival under CZG, the brand has likely lost some of its former glory. New Colt products, while still holding a place in history, can no longer compete with the innovation and quality offered by other leading brands. If you own a Colt firearm, you might notice the difference in quality and technical support compared to other brands. While Colt still has a loyal following, quality and innovation issues have made it difficult for the brand to maintain its dominance in the modern firearms industry. With all the challenges it's facing, Colt will need to make a strong effort to restore its reputation in the industry. However, one thing is clear: without a strong push for innovation and improvements in product quality, Colt will continue to be left behind in an increasingly competitive firearms market. 14. Remington. Remington, one of the oldest and most famous firearm brands in America, has gone through decades of significant ups and downs in the firearms industry. Founded in 1816 by Eliphalet Remington, the brand built a solid legacy in firearms manufacturing, from hunting rifles and shotguns to handguns. Remington became synonymous with quality and innovation, particularly with iconic products like the Model 700 rifle and the Model 870 shotgun, two products that have become legendary and formed the foundation for the brand's long-lasting success. However, in the late 2000s and early 2010s, Remington began to face severe financial, management, and product quality issues, leading to 2 rounds of bankruptcy and a significant decline in brand reputation. With a firearms manufacturing history spanning over 200 years, Remington was once a symbol of innovation and quality in the American firearms industry. Its products, such as the Model 700 rifle and Model 870 shotgun, are among the most trusted and recognized firearms in the world, known for their precision and reliability. However, beginning in the late 2000s, the company began experiencing significant financial difficulties, mismanagement, and problems related to product recalls. These challenges led to the company filing for bankruptcy twice, once in 2018 and again in 2020. Despite efforts to recover, Remington's once stellar reputation had been severely tarnished. The primary reason behind Remington's struggles was the company's inability to adapt to modern demands and keep up with industry changes. As newer brands began offering advanced technology, improved safety features, and better customer service, Remington found itself stuck with outdated production methods and a lack of innovation. This, combined with management issues and a lack of strategic direction, made it harder for Remington to stay competitive. The company, which had once dominated the industry, was now struggling to keep up with other manufacturers like Sig Sauer, Glock, and Smith & Wesson, who were leading the charge in innovation and modernization. Remington's decline was also exacerbated by product recalls and manufacturing flaws. The most notable of these issues was the infamous Remington Model 700 rifle, which had been plagued by trigger problems for decades, leading to many accidental discharges. This ongoing issue caused significant damage to the company's reputation, especially when consumers found that they could not easily resolve the problem or receive proper support from the company. Product recalls, legal battles, and financial instability piled up, making it increasingly difficult for Remington to maintain consumer trust. In 2020, Remington was acquired by the Navajo Nation, which hoped to revive the brand and restore its legacy. However, the acquisition did not bring immediate improvements, and many of the issues that led to Remington's downfall remained unresolved. Despite attempts at restructuring, the company continues to face challenges in regaining the market share it once held. Its firearms are still widely regarded as reliable, but the brand's lack of consistent quality control and failure to modernize its offerings have left it in a precarious position. For those who own Remington Firearms, it's hard to ignore the tarnished legacy that comes with the brand today. While their firearms are still seen as reliable and have a place in the history of American gun manufacturing, the company's failure to innovate and address serious product flaws has left many questioning whether it can ever regain its former glory. Remington's story serves as a cautionary tale for those who rely too heavily on past successes without adapting to modern market demands. While the brand once symbolized quality and innovation, its inability to evolve and modernize has led to a decline in consumer confidence and market share. If Remington wants to regain its status as a leader in the firearms industry, it will need to make significant changes, both in product quality and customer service, if it hopes to remain relevant in the competitive world of firearms manufacturing. 15. Watchtower Firearms. Watchtower Firearms was a brand introduced with high expectations, but it turned out to be a massive disappointment in the firearms industry. Established in 2022, Watchtower Firearms entered the market with a bold strategy, promising advanced firearms with modern designs, superior performance, and innovative technology. They unveiled several promising products, including pistols like the Apache and rifles like the Bridger. These firearms were marketed as the future of the industry, featuring advanced materials and cutting-edge features that the company believed would revolutionize the U.S. firearms market. However, within just 3 years, Watchtower was forced to declare bankruptcy and completely collapse, becoming one of the most unfortunate brands in the industry. Although Watchtower started with great promise, it quickly encountered numerous problems. Despite impressive designs, their products lacked the necessary consistency in quality and performance. The firearms from Watchtower not only had issues with smooth operation, but also had severe mechanical problems that made them unreliable. In some cases, guns jammed or failed to lock properly, leaving users in dangerous situations. These failures led to a loss of trust from consumers, who had hoped for a brand that would bring something fresh to the market. In addition to quality issues, Watchtower Firearms faced significant challenges in maintaining production and delivering products on time. Orders were consistently delayed, and many customers did not receive their firearms within the expected time frame. This caused frustration and disappointment, especially from a new brand that had just entered the market. Furthermore, Watchtower was unable to provide enough replacement parts for their products, leaving owners with firearms that could not be repaired. Reports from distributors indicated that Watchtower was struggling to meet the market demand and maintain an efficient supply chain. By the end of 2024, Watchtower Firearms filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and declared its complete closure in 2025. The company's failure was primarily due to mounting debts, which exceeded $249,000 USD, and its inability to maintain sustainable production while addressing quality issues. Lawsuits over malfunctions and safety concerns further eroded Watchtower's credibility, leading to a total loss of trust. The closure of Watchtower marked the end of a brand that showed potential but could not overcome significant internal challenges. The collapse left thousands of firearms in circulation that were either unusable or unrepairable. Watchtower Firearms' bankruptcy was not surprising to those familiar with the firearms industry. While other brands like Glock, Sig Sauer, and Smith & Wesson continued to produce high-quality firearms with excellent customer service, Watchtower could not compete on either front. Their products quickly became unsellable, with no possibility for repair or maintenance. The lack of design control and manufacturing issues made Watchtower a classic example of a low-cost firearm brand that failed to understand the importance of quality and innovation. The downfall of Watchtower Firearms serves as a clear warning to consumers seeking budget-friendly self-defense firearms from new brands. While innovation and potential are exciting, they are not enough for long-term success in a highly competitive market. Despite its strong initial concept, Watchtower's inability to deliver on quality and support led to its rapid demise. This also highlights that even brands with great ideas and potential can quickly fail without a strong foundation. Now, with Watchtower's bankruptcy, the Those who own their firearms are left without technical support, replacement parts, or repair services. These guns, although once marketed with modern designs and features, are now either unusable or irreparable. This should be a cautionary tale for anyone considering purchasing from new firearm brands. Innovation and potential alone are not sufficient to guarantee long-term success in the firearms market, which demands reliability and consistency. Watchtower Firearms, despite its promising start, has become one of the shortest-lived brands in the industry, unable to maintain sustainable growth. Quality control and lack of post-sale service quickly destroyed the brand's reputation, leaving it with little consumer trust. In conclusion, the stories of these once promising firearm brands highlight an important lesson for both consumers and manufacturers. Cheap doesn't always mean better, and innovation alone isn't enough to ensure long-term success. Many of these companies entered the market with the goal of providing affordable self-defense options, but failed to deliver on quality, reliability, and customer support. As a result, they quickly disappeared from the industry, leaving behind guns that were not only subpar, but also potentially dangerous. For gun owners, this serves as a reminder to always consider the long-term value and reliability of the firearms they choose. Quality should never be sacrificed in favor of price, especially when it comes to something as critical as personal safety. When purchasing a firearm, it's essential to look beyond the initial cost and ensure that the brand offers not only a solid product, but also dependable customer support, maintenance, and durability over time. The collapse of these brands shows the importance of maintaining high standards in manufacturing, providing excellent customer service, and staying competitive by innovating and improving products. The firearms industry is an unforgiving market, and only those brands that prioritize quality, safety, and customer trust will thrive. So, as we look to the future, it's important to remember that the best investment in a firearm is one that offers both performance and peace of mind. If a brand fails to deliver on these fronts, it's only a matter of time before they become a part of history, as so many of these brands have.